Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Newswave. I'm Devan Karp, and today is Friday, March 26th, 2021. Here are today's top stories. Though Trinity has been feeling quite empty this past semester, many students and alumni do not agree with the university's decision to reinstate the 3-year living residency requirement. Many students who chose to remain home for the past couple semesters have done so with legitimate reasons, such as helping their family out, saving money, avoiding travel, or taking care of their own mental health. Though COVID numbers are starting to improve, these issues continue to be of utmost importance. Olivia Roybal, class of 2019, expressed her doubt with the reinstatement, saying, "In terms of broad public safety and access to resources and employment, I only see things getting worse." Many students are also concerned about how the university will safely return each student to campus, especially considering the close proximity with which students will live. In the reinstatement announcement, exemptions to the housing requirements are only for specific cases such as health concerns. However, many students also point out that the exception is too vague to account for mental health concerns, and little to no information was provided about financial aspects. As of right now, Trinity University has yet to respond to these concerns. Student Government Association had a meeting on February 24th to discuss the aftermath of the winter storm on campus. Sophomore Senator Sol Rivas Lopez pointed out that many professors did not change their syllabus after the snowstorm. The school stated that for students with special circumstances, they can contact Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, Michael Soto, with specific complaints. Additionally, first-year Senator Danae Baroki asked the school to thank the staff who provided food to the school during the snowstorm. During the meeting, Tuttle admitted that City Vista's water pipes still had some ongoing problems. First-year Senator Stephen Cox commented, saying that the blizzard should be used to bring attention to climate change. As Trinity continues to recover from the winter storm as well as the pandemic, Danny Wen caught up with Trinity University President Danny Anderson to discuss the progress the university has been making following 2020. Take a look.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this very special interview on Newswave, Trinity University's student news broadcast on campus station Tiger TV. My name is Danny Nguyen, class of 2024, and here with me today is the 19th president of Trinity University, President Danny Anderson. President Anderson, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and Happy New Year. This is an interesting start to 2021.
Happy New Year, sir. So actually, speaking of the New Year's, reflecting back to 2020, what did you learn and what was such an eventful year?
2020 is the most unique year that I think I have ever lived. And over the winter break, I had several people ask me things about what day stands out for you. And I keep remembering that Wednesday, March 13th, when we both made the decision and announced the decision that we were going to quickly go to remote and that we would not have students living on campus. I know that as I've spoken with different people, there's often a belief that we had been working on that for weeks, but given the lack of information that we had and the speed in which we felt like we needed to react, those decisions and announcements happened very fast with very little time to plan them. And so when I look back, the thing that really amazes me, and it continued after that, is that one, it really does take an entire community to be successful. I was just so impressed by the dedication of faculty and staff. And even though there were many complaints from some students, quickly there was an understanding that we were doing things to promote the health and safety of our entire community. So that sense of agility is something that I'd say is new in higher ed. The other thing would be thinking about structures. As we moved into this period, most universities have an emergency response structure, but you're typically dealing with an emergency that lasts just for a day. And this was something that we couldn't predict how long, and it was taking weeks and months. And so we had to quickly think about how can we reorganize ourselves and honor the sense of shared governance within a university, but also find a way to really live through this global pandemic. And so we created work groups that included faculty, staff, and administration. And we just worked together on making things work. And we realized we needed a central group to help coordinate decisions. So we created an organization we called the Nerve Center that connected this network of work groups that were all doing this work remotely. And we were able to really build a new structure for thinking about how we make decisions. And I'd say the last thing for me, and I think about this one a lot, is how do you make decisions in a context of uncertainty? Usually we gather data, we have information, we use that to make plans. And throughout this pandemic, there has been a large climate of uncertainty about the disease itself, when treatments would change, how testing would work, uncertainty about the economic ripple effects. There's a word that's often used called VUCA to describe different kind of contexts, talking about things being volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I'd say we live that. And so learning to think about how do you try to be effective in a context that really has maximum uncertainty is something that I just say we really learn to think about judgment and decisions in a very new way.
Fortunately, there is a glimmer of hope in the end because there is good news. The COVID-19 vaccines are currently rolling out steadily, with vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna currently being distributed, and other vaccines from places such as AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson still in clinical trials. Moreover, Trinity University actually has applied to be a vaccine distribution site. So what does this vaccine mean for Trinity? And could this lead to perhaps a return to normalcy?
So the vaccine is huge in everything that we think about what is going to happen in the year ahead of us. One of the things that I notice is my own father was able to get the vaccine, I think it was December 27th. And the sense of excitement and emotion as you watch people get the first dose of the vaccine, I've heard other people, healthcare providers, frontline workers in the fight against the disease, talking about getting the vaccine. And there's a genuine sense of relief and emotion around this, unlike something that I have seen in prior moments in my lifetime. The other thing that I think about the vaccine is that, here we are at a university where we focus on research and learning and knowledge. And this vaccine is a real testimony to what science and research can do. And at a time when we have so many people who debate the value of college, or they debate the importance of this kind of work, the fact that a vaccine has been developed so quickly is a real testimony to all of that research that people have been doing and building up and now have a great opportunity to apply. And for Trinity specifically, the vaccine is a wonderful way to think about what is our pathway back to a much more normal operating plan. I don't know when during the course of the year 2021, we will be able to quit wearing face masks. The fact that some people get the vaccine doesn't mean that we're ready to quit doing all of the things that protect us. But right now, just watching that slow march forward and looking to the day when the vaccine becomes available to educators, staff members, university students to think about what will it be like once we all have a greater sense of confidence that we are not at risk of transmitting the disease or of catching the disease from someone else. I think that will allow us to return to a much greater sense of freedom in our interactions and start doing things that we all would really like to do. And our hope is that fall 2021 is going to feel much more like a normal semester, where we'll have students living in double occupancy in residence halls. We'll have everyone back on campus doing classes face to face, and there will be that genuine sense of community that has been so strained by the remote work. And I think that the other thing for me that I really do encourage people to keep reading and listening and thinking about is there is still a lot of uncertainty about the vaccine. We don't know whether we'll need annual vaccines. Is this a once-in-a-lifetime vaccine, or will that be an evolving process? But it does mean that we all need to think much more proactively about our individual responsibility in our own health and the way that taking care of our health promotes the health of the community.
Now that it's 2021, what are you and Trinity looking forward to in the new year?
So as we return to a normal situation, we will continue to keep our focus on student success. That is the number one priority of the university, and there are so many projects that think about how do we ensure that we include everyone in the work on ensuring student success so that students return and they graduate in a timely way. Big ideas. I look forward to being back face to face so that we can continue to work on community. Being spread apart makes it hard to feel cohesive. And I think we yearn for that sense of unity that we have of being back together. I long for the day that we'll be back together and there's a greater sense of routine. I mentioned stress of people working remotely. I just don't think we can underestimate the level of exhaustion that people are still carrying. And I think there will be maybe a little bit of, I don't want to be overly dramatic, but I've heard people, talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. And it may be that we have a post-pandemic stress condition that we all wrestle with getting through for a while, in the sense of this is an unprecedented period that we have lived through. It's not only been the pandemic, but a period of intense political polarization, looking at ways that we're trying to address so much racial injustice, thinking about practices that promote inclusion. These are all things that we want to be back together face to face so we can help them move forward. And I think just the layering of exhaustion, I don't think we can underestimate what that will be like as we move through the healing process of that later in the year. And then probably the last thing that I'd say is that maybe two things. One, there is an experience of loss that we're still dealing with, the loss of rituals that help us feel like we're connected to community, but the very real loss of lives. There have been about 23 million cases of COVID in the US. 400,000 people have died every day. We're seeing incredible numbers continue to happen. Those numbers are real. Those are absences in the lives of so many families in San Antonio, across the US. So there's a process of loss that we will go through as we mourn together and think about how do we plan for the future. But I also think it's a moment of great hope as we look at that vaccine and think about a new context and having a real reason why we need to double down right now to protect ourselves.
That's very well said, sir. So lastly, what do you want to say to the Trinity community?
Stay strong during these final months. Wear your mask and practice social distancing to help us make it through the pandemic. Stay hopeful. The pandemic is temporary. Change is clearly happening. We will get to the end of this. And know that I am proud of you. I'd encourage you to look around and be proud of each other. It is because of all of your collective hard work that we're making it through this global health crisis. And none of us wants to look back and just think about stories to tell, but we will process this and become stronger because of it. And so I just encourage you to take pride in your ability to be successful in that journey.
Well, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you to President Danny Anderson for being here. To the Trinity community and beyond, stay safe and stay healthy. This is Danny Nguyen, Newswave 14 reporting.
After the break, we have an update for you on the shooting that happened at an IHOP restaurant on the West End. Don't go anywhere.
This is our home. This is our studio, filled with empty seats and cameras waiting to press record again. With remote classes and the COVID-19 pandemic, it's hard not to feel like we've lost a community on campus. When we're not on campus, it's hard to feel home. But home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. And here at Tiger TV, we're bringing that feeling to you. Because while our studio is waiting for us, we haven't stopped bringing you the shows you need. Get involved with some of our diverse programming like Newswave, Studio 21, and The Not So Late Show. Tune in to our YouTube and Vimeo channels if you miss some of the quality campus television programming we make. Just because we're remote, that doesn't mean we're not still together. Because here, home is more than just a place. Home is Tiger TV.
44-year-old Kevin Clifton passed away from fatal gunshot injuries at the hospital after an argument and physical altercation at the IHOP restaurant near the Southwest Loop 410 and Marbach Road. The 3 at-large suspects have been identified, and after the restaurant released security video to the officials, they are currently cooperating with investigators. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, has relaxed guidelines for in-person learning. Through combining factors of research studies and some states disregarding guidelines, the CDC has found that certain guidelines do not provide a major benefit. Students can now safely sit just 3 feet apart in the classroom as long as they wear masks. However, students must continue to stay at least 6 feet apart from one another at sporting events, assemblies, lunch, or choir practices. To add, the CDC also removed recommendations for plastic shields and barriers in between desks. More information and updates on these guidelines will continue as we learn more about the coronavirus. With the CDC relaxing COVID-19 guidelines, many states are pushing to reopen schools. Here's CNN with more.
Schools should be the last place to close and the first place to open.
A big shift today in the plan to put more kids back in the classroom.
K-12 schools that implement strong, layered prevention strategies can operate safely.
The CDC updating guidelines for schools to safely reopen if everyone is masked, just 3 feet of space between students, down from 6.
The bottom line is that there was never very good evidence for doing it at 6 feet, not if kids are masked up.
It's not clear how quickly schools will implement changes after the president of one of the largest teachers' unions responded by saying they would, quote, reserve judgment. The push to reopen the majority of schools across the country accelerating as new COVID-19 cases hold steady. The country stuck at an undeniably high average, fewer than 55,000 new cases daily. Still, Alabama is one of the latest states moving ahead with plans to eliminate a mask mandate.
The actual legal consideration of making it a mandate or not, is not up to me. But we believe that evidence supports their use.
Masks are no longer mandated in Texas. Police there say a restaurant manager was stabbed several times after telling a man to put one on.
The suspect ran up behind him, tackled him, and stabbed him multiple times.
In the Northeast, New York is easing indoor dining capacity limits today. New Jersey is expanding capacity for restaurants and a slew of other businesses too. Connecticut now lifting all capacity restrictions on restaurants and many businesses. As restrictions lift, the pace of vaccinations is rising.
Today, day 58, we hit our goal of 100 million vaccinations in arms.
President Joe Biden beating by weeks his goal of 100 million shots in 100 days, but there's a new set of challenges.
I believe that we're going to be shifting from a supply issue to a demand issue pretty soon.
A new survey from the Kaiser Family Foundation and the Washington Post shows nearly 4 in 10 unvaccinated healthcare workers say they won't get a shot or that they're undecided. More states are on track to expand eligibility to all adults in the next few weeks, including Nevada, Illinois, Missouri, and Rhode Island.
On Monday, 10 people were killed in a mass shooting at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado. Boulder Police Chief Maurice Harold stated that the police department received calls around 2:30 p.m. on Monday about shots fired at a King Soopers supermarket. The suspect was carrying a patrol rifle. Officer Eric Talley was killed at the scene after being one of the first officers to respond. The shooting suspect has been identified as 21-year-old Ahmad Ali Alissa from Arvada, Colorado. Police took Alissa into custody less than an hour after receiving panicked 911 calls from within the store. Alissa was at some point shot in the leg and is now in stable condition at the hospital. He faces 10 counts of murder in the first degree and will be jailed as soon as his treatment is finished. Boulder County District Attorney Michael Daughtry said Tuesday at a news conference, "I promise that all of us here will work tirelessly to make sure that the killer is held accountable and fully, absolutely made sure to pay for what he did." According to authorities, the motives of the shooter are unknown at this time and will require further investigation. COVID-19 vaccine production and distribution continues to gain steam across the United States. The vaccine produced together with Pfizer and BioNTech, along with the one produced by Moderna, were cleared for use in the U.S. back in December, but supply was limited. At the time, only healthcare workers and seniors could receive the vaccine. But now President Joe Biden has asked states to open up vaccine eligibility to all adults by May 1st. This comes as a result of the vaccine manufacturers working on ways to speed up production times and increase their distribution capabilities. Pfizer has released their own output by creating certain raw materials in their own factories, while Moderna added floor space and new equipment to help with production. Additionally, the emergence of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has helped the U.S. reach an average of 2.5 million people getting vaccinated every day. According to Morgan Stanley, 75% of Americans 12 and older should be vaccinated by the middle of the summer. We now take it over to Kyle for all things sports. Kyle, what do you have going on for us today?
Hey, thanks, Devin. This past week, we saw all sorts of Tiger athletics in action. We'll start with women's basketball as they defeated Colorado College 73-63 last Sunday in the SCAC title game to clinch their 7th conference title. After a loss to Colorado College earlier in the season, the Tigers came out of the gates fast in Sunday's meeting as they managed to put together a nice little run in the first half and were already up double digits by halftime. Colorado College managed to mount a small comeback in the third quarter, but Trinity's offense found its footing again and managed to coast the title. Senior Jordan Rudd led the Tigers with 22 points, while sophomore forward Ashton Milne poured in 19. Immediately after the women clinched their title, the men's team sought to win a title of their own, but fell short to St. Thomas 80-66. The Celts led by just 1.5, but erupted offensively in the second half, outscoring the Tigers by 13. Trinity struggled to shoot the ball from behind the arc all game, connecting on just 20% of their threes. Sophomore Enzo Secchi led the Tigers in scoring with 17 points, while junior AJ Clark pulled down a career-high 13 rebounds. The loss snaps the Tigers' 10-game win streak and extends their conference title drought. Now to volleyball, as the Tigers' season is well underway. Last weekend, Trinity swept the University of Dallas in the SCAC matchup that saw the team improve to 8-2 on the season. The number 2 ranked Tigers were led by senior Avery Tuggle and junior Emily Ellis. Tuggle managed 23 kills, while Ellis posted 5 blocks in a dominant performance. Their matchup against St. Thomas is currently underway at Calgary Gym, where they face the Celts at 3 and later at 7. From the volleyball court to the tennis court, as the women's team traveled up to Dallas last weekend to face UT Dallas. Freshman Elodie Richard had the clutch gene at the end of the match as she won a third-set tiebreaker to clinch the match for the Tigers. The team has yet to lose against G3 competition this season and is set to host Southwestern next month. Junior Katie Ward heroics for the women's soccer team in last weekend's game against the University of Dallas secured a Trinity victory. Although the Tigers had 17 shots on goal, Ward's score in the 95th minute proved to be the only one that managed to find the back of the net. Ward has now scored in 3 consecutive games and pushed her season total to 4 goals. And to round out other Tiger athletics from around the weekend, the men's tennis team shut out the University of the Ozarks here at home and are set to play Southwestern next month. Men's soccer beat Austin 2-1 and moved to 2-0 on the season. And the track and field team competed in Abilene at the West Kitley Invitational, where junior Sean Majors placed 5th in the long jump. And that's all I have for you folks this week. Make sure to tune in next week for more Tiger Athletics news.
With COVID-19 vaccinations rolling out across the country, some movie theaters have decided to start reopening their doors. Here's CNN with the details.
Like many families, we've gotten used to watching movies from the comfort of our living room, in our pajamas, with our snacks in hand and our kids nearby. But today, all of this will change.
Yes, we're glad to be back. This feels so good, and it's a spring day. It feels like we're turning the corner on COVID.
David and Janet Jacobs couldn't be any happier to be fully vaccinated, out of the house, and just moments away from catching a movie inside of the Angelica Film Center and Cafe in Carmel Mountain.
Looking forward to having some quality entertainment in the movies, sitting down with other moviegoers. This is great.
Movie theaters across the county are reopening today, now that San Diego is in the red tier. They can operate indoors with a maximum of 25% capacity or 100 people. We visited Reading Cinemas as they prepared to resume operations at their 3 locations.
Dusting everything off, we're firing up equipment, we're turning on lights, we're most importantly just scrubbing, cleaning.
But while the doors remain closed, the equipment sat idle, which is also what happened to their revenue. In January, AMC, the world's largest movie theater chain, narrowly escaped bankruptcy thanks to more than $900 million of emergency cash flow made mostly by investors. This weekend, they plan to reopen 40 of its California theaters. And with more businesses reopening, many are hopeful this is the start of brighter days ahead.
We're not at the end of the tunnel, but we feel like there's a glimmer of hope there, and we're chugging along.
Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
We now take it over to Mia for a look at what's trending in the world of entertainment.
Thanks, Devin. Well, this week we've got a lot of fun stuff happening in the world of entertainment. First up, American Horror Story fans and fashion connoisseurs alike are buzzing with the news that Kaia Gerber will be joining the AHS cast for season 10. According to Entertainment Tonight, the 19-year-old fashion model is excited to join an already impressive cast featuring Macaulay Culkin, AHS veterans Adina Porter and Sarah Paulson, and many more. According to Dazed.com, the title of season 2 is double feature, and it will include 2 terrifying stories, one of which will revolve around a haunted beach town. Stay tuned to find out when this spooky season will be released. Up next in the world of entertainment, the hit Disney Channel show Shake It Up was an essential part of many people's childhoods, and fans know that the show would not have been the same without the actress Bella Thorne. According to recent news, Thorne is now happily engaged to her boyfriend of 2 years, Benjamin Mascalo. According to USA Today, the Italian singer found an opportunity to propose to Thorne while the two were rehearsing lines for Time Is Up, an upcoming teen romance that they are co-starring in. Mascalo surprised Thorne by writing her a love letter on the back of her script in which he asked him to marry her. She said yes, and now the two are very eager to start their new life together. Well, it looks like this beloved Disney Channel star is all grown up. In other news, fans of the Marvel Universe know that the 4th phase of the Marvel plotline is finally here. Disney Plus's show WandaVision has already gained devoted viewers, and now Disney Plus has released yet another show. On March 19th, the first ever season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was released to viewers. This show features Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, and Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, as the main characters after their ties to Steve Rogers brings them together. This show has gained an impressive 87% on Rotten Tomatoes and promises to be another hit with fans. However, this is not all Marvel has planned for the future, and fans should be excited about what's to come in the Marvel Universe in 2021. Well, staying on topic with a brand new action-packed sci-fi, Zack Schneider's cut of Justice League has just been released on HBO Max. The filmmaker originally had to step down from the 2017 DC film, but he is back and better than ever with his very own fake cut of this fan favorite. According to Entertainment Tonight, Schneider wanted to make the film as, quote, uncompromised as he could. Well, I have yet to see this rendition of Justice League, but I definitely know what my plans are for this weekend. Well, that's all for this week. This has been Mia Hammond, and thank you for joining me here on Entertainment News.
Well, that's all the time we have this week. Make sure to tune into Newswave at Fridays at 2:30 p.m. on our YouTube and Vimeo channels, as well as your own campus television network. I'm Devan Karp, wishing you a happy Friday, a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you right here next week.